Hey my angels, and welcome to book club. We are on month number 4 review already. Honestly, I cannot even begin to understand how the heck it is already May, but you know, it is May and we are already covering book number 4. So the reason why I started book club in the first place was to just hold myself more accountable to reading books, because it's been so long since I started reading. The last 4 years, I probably only got a couple books in, unfortunately. So this year so far, I just finished my 4th, and I'm currently in between my 5th, 6th, and 7th right now, because I'm in another book club, as well as just reading one on my own time, and Relentless, which is our book 5 for May. So if you're watching this right now, you still have time to start. Our first book discussion isn't going to be until the 6th of May, I believe. So if you want to join in, go ahead and purchase Relentless or rent it, Audible, whatever works for you. But I highly recommend jumping into our book clubs. They're super low key and really fun. But without further ado, we are about to cover the book Grit by Angela Duckworth. And this book was awesome. It was a lot different than the last few that we've been reading. So if you've been following along, so far we've read The 4 Agreements, The Power Now, and The One Thing. And Grit definitely goes a little bit deeper into the stories behind the habits that she's trying to teach us. So she is a psychologist that has a pretty extensive background and knowledge and history in just understanding what it is that makes people have grit. And you guys might be asking, what is grit? What is the definition? And to me, the definition of grit is that never-ending passion to pursue what you want in life, and it never goes away. So grit means that you have an unwavering discipline to get something done and to accomplish it at the best that you can. And grit doesn't mean that you can never quit. So there's a difference between, in my eyes, what quitting is and moving on. And I believe that quitting is when you don't accomplish a task to its fullness. And that can mean anything for anybody. But for me, let's say I was comparing it to my life and my competing life. Quitting would just be giving up right now because of the coronavirus and maybe not knowing where my finances would be and how I'm going to end up placing. Will I become an Olympian? Quitting is different than moving on. And moving on to me is something that was going to happen in the future. It might not happen for a couple more years. It might happen next year. It might happen in 10 years. But I know that I will know deep down and in my heart when it is time to move on to something new, whether it's a new entrepreneur opportunity, maybe my business explodes, maybe I want to travel the world. I don't know yet, but I'll know when what I'm doing isn't working for my lifestyle anymore. So going back into the book, she immediately just starts talking about what showing up means, and I feel that many people don't truly understand what showing up for yourself and for other people really means. And to me, showing up means giving your 100% effort into something when you're doing it. And the chapter quickly leads into the next chapter, which is Distracted by Talent. And I loved this chapter. And I loved it for quite a few reasons. But one thing that happens quite a bit is you quickly discredit people or their accomplishments or their achievements because you just believe that there's no way that they could have gotten there from the bottom, and that either someone gave it to them, or they're extremely talented, or they fell into a good circumstance and that's how they got where they are. And 9 times out of 10, guys, that none of that's true. There are so many amazing people that had to put in day in and day out effort to get where they want to go. And it's really cool because, just saying that the chapter immediately goes into effort counts twice. And there is a link between talent and achievement, but talent doesn't mean that you will be an achiever in what you want. The equation that she came up with was talent times effort equals skill, and then skill times effort equals achievement. So yes, talent can turn into achievement, but you have to remember that effort builds your skill, and skill still isn't enough to be an achiever unless you give it lots and lots and lots of work and time and grace, because it takes a lot of grace and a lot of patience to be good at something. I'm pretty sure in this book she said that it takes about 10,000 hours to become a professional at what you're doing and to build a skill set that makes you an achiever. She quickly goes into explaining how gritty are you, and there's a grit test, and I actually did pretty well on this one. Growing up, I've always been gritty. I've always stuck to things I wanted to do. I ran track, cross country, and I swam all 4 years. I had a job like 40 hours a week all through my young adulthood life into the last few years. I stuck with bartending my whole entire life. I really enjoy the gym, and I've never given it up, even though I've taken times off. But I truly believe that my grittiness has grown, and it is a skill that you can grow, which she does later describe. I don't believe that what I have now and what I've built has anything to do with natural talent necessarily, because I didn't even want to graduate with the degree that I got initially. So understanding that like this passion and this talent and where I am right now in my life was not premeditated, and this is super important to remember reading deeper into this book. So she talks about how grit grows, and you know, like I just said, I couldn't agree more, and it definitely has some determining factors. You know, as you get older, people think grit grows. I think it's just the natural ability to keep doing something over and over again that wasn't natural at first, that becomes second nature, and understanding that it doesn't come overnight and it takes lots of time and dedication. It quickly goes into the next part of the book, which is growing grit from the inside out, and it starts with the chapter 6 with interest. And it starts off immediately saying follow your passion. And I know some of you listening might be asking, well, what do you do if you don't know your passion? Great question, because I was wondering that too most of my early adulthood life, and sometimes I still wonder that about what I'm doing, because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just doing the shit that I feel like I need to do every single day to be a little bit better. I mean, it's a testament just to watch my first book club review compared to this one. Guys, I was so afraid. My limiting beliefs always were, I'm not that good of a reader, I'm not a great writer, I'm just okay smart. Like, I had very limiting beliefs on myself, and breaking through those and growing them through practice and talent and just being gritty has made me into a completely different person. If you go back to the first video to this one, you're going to notice a completely different person, and it's only been 4 months. So that shows how sticking to something for a long time only makes you better. Every single time you stick with something that you feel passion towards, it will grow into something bigger than what you ever thought it would be. Acting like you're going to know what your passion is and what future that holds for you automatically is the quickest way to go nowhere fast, and it will not get you anywhere. There is not one person out there that just picked up something and said, you know what, I'm gonna be the best golfer in the world, and just immediately did it. No, I'm sure it started with something like, hey, they went to a golfing practice and hey, golf was fun. Maybe golf was relaxing to them. Maybe it was something they enjoyed to do with their family. Whatever. And then over time, that interest turned into a passion. It turned into something that they really enjoyed doing. And the reason why they kept getting further and further, maybe they started joined a golf club, and then they became one of the best people at their country club and started doing meets, and then they became state and nationally qualified. Well, that happened over time, understanding the deeper they got into it, the more they liked it. And that once again goes not just without the passion of wanting to do it, but the skill and the effort to become a good achiever. Something really interesting in this book too was when you have something that interests you, seek out a mentor, seek out a coach, seek out somebody that you can resemble their lifestyle. You can resemble what they do, and your expertise and your knowledge will grow, and so's your curiosity and your confidence. It's really useful to understand that you have to follow the direction of a passion, but it might be even more useful to actually understand how passions are fostered in the first place. Yeah, follow a passion, but a passion is fostered and found by just doing things that interest you, okay? So do something that interests you. You never know where it will lead you in life. After that, it comes down to practice. It comes down to working hard and not quitting on what you're doing. She talks about a couple interesting points, and understanding that quitting is the one way to failing. With deliberate practice and hard work, your passion will grow. One thing that lays behind passion and interest is your purpose. And if you're an entrepreneur or a leader, or you want to become one, understanding your purpose and your why is so much more important than you could ever imagine. And I wish I took this more serious when I was younger. I wish that I took this question to heart and actually asked myself the questions and, figured this out, because I'm telling you now, it would make the beginning of becoming a business owner or following a passion or a dream of yours extremely more, I'd say, a lot more easy to follow, and a clearer path to that destination that you want to go to. And I just want to ask you, have you discovered your purpose yet? And if so, how does it serve others? Because behind the purpose is service. If you want something to truly be successful, you have to think about not how you're going to help yourself, but how you're going to serve others by doing so. And that's so important to remember. How are you going to serve everyone else by accomplishing the goals that you want? So a few tips with this is, remember to connect beyond yourself. Start your calling with just being yourself and analyzing what you like. And then lastly, you need to develop and deepen your interests with time. So just remember, it's not gonna come quick or easy. If you don't know right now, you might not know for a while. That's okay. Just keep exploring and keep doing things that make you happy. Just remember, you don't have anything if you don't have a purpose. So just keep looking for that spark, watch other people, understand how you can make a difference in other people's lives, and just go from there. One of the last chapters in this section is hope. And I personally do not like the word hope. I feel like it has a a wishful connotation to it, when I think you could be a lot more deliberate with your word choices. In this one, I like to just call it maybe something else. But for the sake of the book, she speaks about how optimists search for specific causes to fix something, and pessimists assume that it's a permanent cause that caused their situation. If you're suffering and you feel like you're without control, usually that leads to depression. And pessimists usually are the ones that are more depressed because they assume that a situation can never change and that it is permanent and always going to be that way for the rest of their lives. A question that could be helpful to ask yourself is, if you look back at one of the hardest situations you went through in your life, what did you learn and understand from it? What did it teach you? And just keep asking yourself questions like that. She also mentioned what growth and fixed mindset was, and it's really cool because we're later in the book club going to read Mindset by Carol Dweck. Understanding, like, you know, how you were raised and how you were praised, that's going to obviously make a difference in your outcomes in life. Understanding how you speak to people and using a undermining tone or a promoting tone. And what I mean by that is, how many times have you went to somebody and said, you're just so talented, or this is hard, so don't feel bad that you don't understand it, or you tried. Like, you know, just things that kind of bring people down, when you could easily rephrase the way you're speaking, like, you're a great learner, let's talk about how we could fix this. You know, this is hard, don't feel bad if you don't get it yet. Teaching them that how they feel and how they've learned and what they know is all something that they can fix and also be accountable for in their future. So switching from a fixed to a growth mindset is very, very important if you ever want to keep growing through your life. Remember that language cultivates hope, and that's really great practice when you're speaking to other people, especially when you're in a leadership position or a coach. A way you can practice that is just by always asking yourself, what can I learn from this situation? So one of the last sections, she starts going into growing grit from the outside in. And the first thing they talk about is parenting and grit. And I'm not going to go too deep into some of this because I'm not a parent and I don't really know that much about this. But I did find it very interesting. One of the quotes that I wrote out was, child-centered parents make decisions for the kids in their child's interests. So that means that they're supportive and demanding. And what I mean by that is the parents are always there for them and give them the support that they need to keep growing. But they also demand that they work hard. And one thing that the author Angela implements is everyone having one hard thing in the family. And that teaches the kids that they have to have something that they need to work towards and to persevere and to learn grit from. But regardless of what they did, it's the fact that she has a few rules. You can't quit something within the season. You can't quit something because you don't know if you want to do it anymore. You have to wait the season out. You have to wait a year. You have to do something that shows that you can open a task and close the book before you're only halfway done. And I do believe that this is a really interesting way to teach a child what grit and hard work means. If you allow your kid or yourself to just give up halfway through something all the time, what are you truly going to accomplish in life that you're proud of? And that's going to possibly hurt people's confidence and ability in themselves to get something done. And that will only cause more issues later down the line throughout the rest of their life. One of the last parts of this book, she goes into how to grow grit. To grow it, she says that you just have to find something that's interesting and hard to do. And that kind of plays into what I was telling you about how she raises her kids. Well, interesting and hard means, okay, so hard for a child is you're in school, right? But interesting might be hanging out with your friends. But what's interesting and hard? And interesting and hard could be playing the piano. It could be joining a book club. It could be something that's fun for you to do, but also is a struggle to go through, and it puts you through trials and tribulations of trying to get to that end goal. Putting yourself in situations like that is really important. You just want to remember to do a hard thing, know that you can't quit. You still get to pick your hard thing, so that gives you the freedom of exploring yourself, and then just commit to something for 1 to 2 years. See where it brings you. And that is what I mean by learning what a passion or how an interest can turn into a passion. It takes that long. It's that easy and it's that hard. So she ended with the culture of grit, and I absolutely ate this chapter up. As a coach, I thought it was really interesting because culture is the way that you like share norms and values of a group of people and how they like all just get together and vibe. And being a entrepreneur, a coach, and somebody who wants to build a bigger team and possibly have people working for me one day, it's just really interesting to think that you as a leader can create a gritty culture, and I love that. I want nothing to do with people who don't want to work hard for what they have, because I don't personally respect that. That is one of my core values, is hard workers. And to be a leader, you have to be a hard worker, and I truly believe that like you have to work hard for what you want. It's not just given. And that's a hard pill for some people to swallow, but it's a necessary pill to swallow if you want to be successful in life, in my opinion. To touch on some of the stuff she talked about, just to be a good leader and to gain some grit and have grit as a culture, be sure to join a team or try to create a team that has grit in the first place. And that's one of the easiest ways to build grit, is just to be a part of something that embodies what grit means. Surround yourself with it, and culture to me can shape the future of the people that are in it. And that's really important to me as a person who might want to employ one day, because I want to be the most influential, in a positive way, mentor and coach that I could be. And right now, the best way I feel like I could do that is just by learning and practicing myself and moving at a very slow pace and seeing where this interest and passion for me goes in the future. I absolutely adored the area where she talked about the Cincy spirit. And guys, if you haven't heard of the Cincy spirit, look it up. But pretty much it's a term that people from Finland use. And all it means is to get up and try again. And it's really cool because their whole culture is based around this, and apparently this is just how the Finlands live their life, and that's epic. I can only imagine how hardworking and how happy the people are there. So I want to visit Finland, honestly. And one of the quotes I really related to in this chapter was, talent is common, but what you invest to develop that talent is the critical measure of greatness. And what that means to me is so many people are talented out there, and to play the mind game like, oh, that person's naturally better or that person is talented, and just give yourself the excuses to believe that you aren't good enough, it's all bullshit. So understanding that talent is common and that hard work and skill and effort can actually lead to achievement and outwork talent is really freaking awesome, guys. It is so awesome. To build culture is just really important to me. I feel like I'm slowly learning the steps to it, and the book pointed out some really cool steps. Everyone's going to be so different, so do what feels right to you. There is no right or wrong in this case, because you're building your own vision. No one else can see this vision that you have besides yourself, and that's the beauty of it. Just have to dig deeper and actually believe in yourself and know that hard work is going to bring a positive light into this new baby that you're trying to build. So create your vision and just thrive. Remember, you have to have a why, but that vision is so important. Lastly, remember that growing grit is possible. You can do it from the inside out by cultivating interests, working on daily habits, developing a skill of practice, connecting to your purpose and hope when all is lost. Or you can do it from the outside in and hire a coach like myself, or somebody who is in the particular field that you want to become better at, and learn from them. So a parent, coach, mentor, it depends on what you're trying to do, but that is also super important in your next critical step to development. I have 2 coaches. I would not be where I am without them. I'm really happy to have put myself in a situation where I could learn from people and take that step for myself and give it to myself, because guys, no matter the price, it doesn't matter. It all matters on how much you need to commit to yourself. And I'm not gonna, sugarcoat it. I spent more money on my coaching than I made my first month. But that's okay, because that coaching and that hard work that I put in and going through adversity and overcoming it on the other side and stronger than I was before gave me more confidence and more conviction to know that what I'm doing right now is important and it's exactly where I need to be. Everything I have is already inside of me. And that right there, guys, is what this whole book is about. It's about never giving up. It's about never feeling complacency. It's about fulfilling your achievements and your goals and your life ambitions, finishing what you started to set out for, and just being a good character, having a good moral code, knowing your core values, and just believing that we all face limits, but it's not because of lack of talent or opportunity. It's lack of grit, hard work, and dedication. That's all I gotta say. I hope you enjoyed it. I will talk to you beauties later. Peace, peace, and I'll catch you on month 5, which is going to be, like I said, Relentless by Tim Grover. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed.